Right now, in the big conversation, we are going to change tack slightly, and we are talking mobile phones and cars. We're going to hear from celebrity lawyer Nick Freeman. If you've not heard of him, he's represented a number of showbiz stars who found themselves in bother when it comes to driving issues. He's courted controversy this week by saying that even hands-free kits should be banned behind the wheel. Using a handheld mobile phone has been banned since 2003, and it's now penalised with 6 points on the offender's licence and a £200 fine. But mounting research suggests that although legal, driving and using a mobile phone on hands-free, either on speakerphone or with Bluetooth technology that connects to a phone wirelessly or to speakers or a headset, is just as dangerous. It's the conversation that is distracting, apparently. So now recently, West Midlands police carried out a crackdown and more than 120 drivers were caught using mobile phones at the wheel. It included motorists texting, checking social media, and one driver was even watching the news on a handset while driving along the motorway. The mind boggles, frankly. In 2016, psychologists at the University of Sussex found that driving while talking on a hands-free phone can be just as distracting as talking on a handheld mobile. So you might think it only takes a moment to glance away and take your eyes off the road, but the distance you can cover in that time is absolutely shocking. So let's hear what Nick has to say, and then I want to hear from you. Good morning, Nick Freeman. How are you?
Good morning, Rachel.
So, what you're quite clear on this. You would like to see a ban of even hands-free phones.
Well, there isn't really any difference from the level of distraction, whether you're holding the phone in your hand or whether it's hands-free. The level of distraction is the same. As you've rightly indicated, there's been research done at university. They say it's exactly the same level of distraction. That is the cause of the danger. It's not the physical act of possibly having one hand on the steering wheel. It's the mental element, the fact that you're concentrating and visualising a conversation as opposed to concentrating on your driving. And they say that when you are driving either hands-free or handheld, the chances of you having an accident are the same as when you're just below the level of the level of drink driving.
Oh, really?
When you're at that level, the chances of you having an accident increase 4 times. So it seems somewhat bizarre for everybody, and we're all motorists and we all like to use our phones in the cars, to say, yes, we're not going to use them if we're holding the phone because you're 4 times more likely to have an accident. But if we have them hands-free and you're still 4 times more likely to have an accident, I say that's okay. It's a ridiculous argument. It doesn't make any sense, particularly when you equate it with drink driving, which we have successfully stigmatised as a society. I'm not suggesting people don't do it. Of course, people do it. They're caught, and if they're convicted, they get disqualified, and sometimes it's worse than that. So there needs to be a level playing field, and what we're doing is we're tinkering with the problem. And you just outlined before you spoke to me that the police have had a crackdown, and I think you said 126 motorists have been caught using a phone illegally behind the wheel. Well, the problem is that there are no police on our roads, and it's only in the event of a crackdown that actually people are actually caught doing it. So unless the matter is policed, it's not going to make a great deal of difference, and that's why another reason why I'm suggesting that we ban phones completely from cars, because people then might not be so tempted to have a go if they know that the whole concept of having a phone in the car, unless it's for an emergency, is illegal. And to some extent that would police itself, and that's really what needs to happen. And then, of course, we do need to have a penalty which will deter people in itself. And if you're going to be disqualified for drink driving for your first offence for a minimum period of 12 months, it was bizarre that the government started off with 3 points. They've now tinkered with the problem and said you'll get 6 points. But if it's as dangerous as drink driving, why isn't it dealt with in the same way? And then that takes me on to, well, why isn't having a phone hands-free dealt with in the same way? They should all be exactly on the same level. They should all be banned, and they should all have exactly the same penalty. And I know it's not a popular thing. I'm not trying to win votes. I'm not a politician. But what it would do, Rachel, is it would make our roads a great deal safer, now, particularly if we did have a few police on them to police it.
Now, my mind boggles that people aren't concerned about their own safety and the safety of other people more than it being illegal. And I know that, certainly when I was growing up and the period of time when I was learning to drive, there were huge drink drive TV campaigns that were very hard-hitting and very graphic. And there still are occasionally. And there are now for mobile phones as well. surprises me that it has to be a legal deterrent to stop people doing something that could quite easily kill them. Do you think, making it illegal will stop people? Because people don't seem to be able to put their phones down regardless, do they?
Well, no, they're addicted to their phones, and I think there is an element of education. I think that the motorist generally doesn't believe that when he's using a phone illegally, when he's, for example, sitting in traffic and he's moving slowly and he's illegally using it, I don't think he thinks that's dangerous, or she doesn't think it's dangerous. And what they might forget is, well, while they're moving along slowly, a child or someone could walk in front of the car and just slowly get crushed. They don't visualize that danger, and they have no concept of the danger of using a phone if it's hands-free, because the government, to be honest, are the cause of the problem, because they say it's legal.
Right.
And in a way, it's a very misleading message, because the moment you have a serious accident where there's a fatality or a serious injury, that legal use of the phone immediately becomes illegal. And one of the things the police will do is interrogate it, how long have you been on the phone. That becomes a very aggravating feature, and that will elevate the charge into a much more serious bracket. So it's a total misnomer in any event to say that using a phone hands-free is legal. It depends what happens. And the motorist is completely oblivious and unaware and uneducated, unfortunately, in relation to the potential dangers of using a phone on a hands-free basis. They just assume, well, the government says it's all right, so it must be. And then they get a terrible shock.
So if it's the conversation that is distracting as opposed to actually physically holding the phone, what do you think about just talking to a passenger in the car, or people having kids in the back that maybe demand their attention, or eating or drinking at the wheel?
They are all potential distractions, but we do have to be reasonable and proportionate. And when we have research that says you use your phone in the car, hands-free or handheld, you're 4 more times to have an accident, full stop. Do you then say, never mind, I tell you what, I'm going to take the risk? Or do you say, as a motoring society who loves their cars and we need to get about, I think it's too dangerous, that isn't worth taking a risk. If you're going to have a conversation with someone in the car, in the passenger seat, you have to be concentrating on what you're doing. I'm not aware of any research in relation to the distraction, because, of course, it depends on the level of the conversation. Is it an emotionally involved conversation, in which case you should stop, get out your car, and not have it in your car in the first place, because you will be driving potentially dangerously. And the police will always ask you, when if you're unfortunate enough to be involved in an accident of any sort, they'll ask you how you slept the night before. Did you have anything to drink the night before? Were you talking to somebody? Were you listening to the radio? What sort of music were you listening to? All sorts of questions that you might think are totally offbeat, because they know what they're looking at. And the public have no idea, whilst they're driving along, not being involved in an accident, what might be around the corner for them. And that's the problem. So education is very important, but because we don't have police on the roads, unfortunately, we need a deterrent sentence in itself that, in my view, will police the issue to some extent.
Okay,
not
well, listen.
perfectly. So it's a combination of both things.
Thank you very much for that, Nick Freeman, and your opinions are gratefully received. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rachel.
03453 009956. Now you've heard from Nick. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think we have the right to be able to have a conversation hands-free on our phone? 03453 009956. Do you still see drivers talking on their phones? What is the solution? I would absolutely love to hear from you.